Alright, guys, welcome to another installment of Freedom versus Communism. We're reading today. Um, I'm going to do the challenge of communism and how do we meet the challenge. Then the next two chapters are going to be economic chapters. I'll read those both in the next video. So we would do the communist challenge chapters now. So, alright, here goes. The challenge of communism. The threat of communism comes from its three interrelated aspects. Communism is a doctrine and ideology. It includes theories and ideas about history and about the organization, the operation, and the future development of society, which serve to motivate communists and enable them to justify their actions. This ideology is a threat because it motivates disciplined party members operating under direction of the Soviet Union and Red China. And now it's a little different. I mean, if you look it up, but yeah, we got China and we got all those other countries that are communist. But you know, Russia hasn't done away with all its communists. It's just changed things just a little bit. But anyway, on with the rest of this reading. Communism is also the social order of existing. Communism is also the social order existing in Russia and China, which is rooted in the ideology. Like it says, in Russia, I don't think it's totally eradicated. Russia's changed somewhat, but and it's still in China, North Korea, Burma, a lot of other countries. So, yeah, communism is the social order existing in Russia and China and North Korea and Burma, and name a lot of your other countries. Communism is also, communism is also the social order existing in Russia and China, which is rooted in the ideology. Although leaders in both countries modify details of their doctrine as they see fit. So no different than then and no different today. Communist Russia and Red China are a threat because the men in control seek world domination and they are building up their industrial and military power to achieve their goal. But yeah, I was the Russian Mafia documentary I was looking at on YouTube, come from the History Channel. I was looking at it one day, was saying how Russia was selling its Cold War surplus because they were in some trouble there, and they were selling a lot of stuff and fell into the hands of a lot of people, but Russia needed money. So, but yeah, that's some more stuff to look up. But communism is the international communist apparatus. It is a threat because it uses all manner of subversion and infiltration to promote the drive for the power of the Soviet Union and Red China. Today, the communists attack on a wide front with a variety of weapons. They use propaganda, infiltration, subversion. They use the threat of major war, the threat of limited war, various forms of diplomatic blackmail to keep the nations of the free world off balance. They work persistently to penetrate the underdeveloped areas of Asia, Middle East, Africa, Latin America. They strive ceaselessly to drive wedges between the members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, which now we can argue that NATO is, a lot of people say that NATO is a group with the goals of communism. Or some people will say NATO was once a good thing, but it was infiltrated by the communists and infiltrated also by the would-be communist rulers. So that's up to you guys to decide. But I am. My idea is everything else starts out good to a point, but who knows? People have ulterior motives, or certain groups start out good, but they always, no matter what it is, uh, always gets infiltrated by the wannabe dictators and whatnot. But added to their incessant propaganda campaign on the inevitability of communism is their propaganda campaign on the invincibility of communism. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and read the second chapter. How do we meet the communist challenge? Question mark. How do we meet the communist challenge? Most people today realize the challenge of communism. How do we meet it? In preparing this course, the authors talked to many experts on communism and to leaders in the forefront of the battle against communism. These experts agreed in essence that individual Americans can best fight communism by understanding by these experts agreed in essence that the individual Americans can best fight communism by number one, understanding the communist threat, and number two, working to strengthen the United States. And I would put number three, the individual American having a finely tuned bullshit detector to arm yourself against the people that try to say you should worship Che Guevara and have a picture of him on his wall and want a communist daddy to make everything better for you and be gullible like that. But anyway, understanding the communist threat requires the study of communist ideology and objectives, communist tactics and strategy, communist strengths and communist weaknesses. The strength of the United States lies in its cultural and spiritual heritage, its political system, the quality of its leadership, which that's starting to go kind of to hell these days, but its economic system, the character of its people, the freedom of its citizens, and their acceptance of the responsibilities that go with freedom. Pamphlet number 8, What You Can Do About Communism, will explore some detail what individuals can do to help meet the communist challenge. So we're almost done with number 1. We're not going to get to number 8, at least for a while. So we'll be barely at number 2. Although no course obviously can cover all aspects of the communist challenge, major emphasis in this course will be placed on economic systems. At first glance, this emphasis may appear misplaced. In their propaganda campaigns, communists are attempting to convince the world that the great struggle is solely between two economic systems. The goal of industrial and agricultural production the goal of industrial and agricultural production is the battering ram in which we will smash the capitalist system, enhance the ideas of Marxism, Leninism, strengthen the socialist camp, and contribute to the victory of the cause of peace throughout the world, boasts Khrushchev. So they could have started to be, they could have said Khrushchev boasted, quote, but instead they put boasts Khrushchev at the very last of the paragraph. So while you guys were listening to this, you might have been saying, what? Matter of fact, while I was reading this, I was like, what? Okay. And then when I finished the last part that says boasts Khrushchev, then I'm like, oh, okay. So in other words, Khrushchev boasts that the growth of industrial and agricultural production is the battering ram in which they will smash the capitalist system. Okay. Despite Premier Khrushchev's incessant emphasis on production, the crucial differences between our societies are not the differences in our economic systems. The fundamental differences between communism and our democratic way of life result from divergent views on moral and spiritual values and on the relationship of the state to the individual. Lying at heart of our differences is our different concept of the dignity and the importance of the individual and his right to search for the truth in his own way. Yeah, communists cannot have that, your right to search for the truth in your own way. So, in other words, like I said on YouTube before, we got a free country. If you want to be an atheist and object to religion, you're free to do so. If you want to join a religion, you're free to do so. And this is actually called the individual's right to search for the truth in his own way, which is still a good thing. And then you're free to change your mind later when something's not working for you, I guess. But if somebody else always wants to find out what's best for the individual, they claim what's best for you. They're right. And you're right to be an atheist or right to join a religion. And both sides of that fence actually have an ulterior motive as far as having a neo-socialist kind of dictatorship thing, because they claim what's best for everybody else. So that's a result of a type of communism that's infiltrating different systems and of many walks of life, which we were just reading about. So anyway, let's get on with the rest of this. The real issue is freedom versus communism. We have many issues and rights that communism curtains. We have many freedoms and rights that communism curtails. Okay, let's try that again. We have many freedoms and rights that communism curtails, and we want to protect them all. Freedom of religion and worship and practice, freedom of speech, assembly, and movement within the country, the right to own land, a home, and means of production, the right to work at occupations and locations of one's own choice, according to one's ability, the right to a secret vote in selecting one's leaders, and the right to political beliefs and opinions in one's own choosing, the right to equal impartial justice under law, and freedom from arbitrary arrest, detention, or exile. Since we have many such freedoms and rights, we should not fall into the trap of regarding the struggle between freedom and communism as merely a struggle between two methods of economic organization. Why then should we emphasize economics? There are two reasons. One, the difference in our economic systems has received less attention than in many other areas, and two, strengthening our economic system is important. So that's the name of the next two chapters, which we'll read in a separate video because then this will be too long of a video. Then after these two, well, there'll be one final chapter in this book, yay! Then we'll be able to go on to chapter 2. But I might put the very last chapter after these economic chapters. The very last chapter is reality versus illusion. So we got economics has received less attention in other areas, and we got our economy is important. Then right after that, we got reality versus illusion, which is a very small chapter. I guess I'll just, I haven't decided yet if I'll put it in a separate video or not. But I probably will put all three in the same video, but depends on how much jibber jabber I want to put on the end of it. But anyway, there you have it. Stay tuned for me finishing book 1.